What is going on, you guys? Welcome to episode number 18. We have a wonderful, amazing guest today. His name is Fast Eddie. He's not necessarily fast, by the way. No? he's laughing right now. And obviously, we have a co-host, Coach Nik.
I'm back.
And then we also have Colton as well. Obviously, you guys are always here. But hey, man, thank you for being on.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
He's very chill right now. It's okay. It's good. I love it. And one of the reasons why we want you to be on our podcast is simply because we love to hear your stories. We want to hear your stories, right? And part of the reason why, because when I first met you, I'm not gonna lie, when I first met you, I'm like, who is this tatted guy? He's tatted from head to toe. You know, it's natural when someone judge you, you know, by its cover, right? Has that been a huge thing for you in your life because people see you that way, and after they meet you, they're like, "Oh my God, you're like the nicest person," you know?
I feel like earlier in my life they did, you know what I mean? But I also feel like I had a different energy back then.
Yeah,
I carried a different energy with me. Yeah. And you know, back in the day when I first got them, like tattoos weren't as acceptable socially as they are right now. So
now it is. Now we got
everyone's
got them.
Everybody got them.
Government
you don't
officials,
even know. They're like, "Oh, were you in the military?" I'm like, "No, but not."
We wish.
I wish. You know what I mean? But anyway, so I feel like now, socially more acceptable, and then along with that, like I feel like I carry a different energy with me. I still occasionally have people feel intimidated by my look.
Yeah.
But I think when they see me talking to somebody else and they can see that I'm not like an aggressive or, you know.
You're probably the most calmest person I've ever met, to be honest with you. I mean, I know. I mean, everybody has
we all
moments,
do,
you know
but
I mean?
yeah.
Everybody has someone. So one of the reasons why, guys, I want people to kind of get to know Eddie is because he has given us, with Unfinished Lifestyle, a chance to be a part of FTC. And FTC is the gym that we currently work in. We rent the space there. We rent the office there. And part of the reason why we want you to be on, because I want to share that story behind the scenes of how we got connected, right? So let's start from the beginning. So when did you start bodybuilding or coaching? Like, what is your background?
So honestly, excuse me, most of my life I just did this for fun. Like, it was a hobby. It was because I enjoyed it. If you go back dig a little bit deeper, I think in the very beginning it was more about insecurities, wanting to fit in high school with the right crowd, wanting to look a certain way so you could meet girls, whatever the case may be, you know, like maybe some insecurities there that made me go, oh, I don't like this about myself, so I would go to the gym, and then it evolved in like, oh, I like this, right? I love this. And then it just evolved into something I love to do and an outlet and a hobby. So it was more recreation, you know what I mean?
So you started at a young age, started lifting.
Yeah, just lifting, you know, like 15, you know what I mean? Just high school. And
did you grow up here?
I grew up in Salt Lake City, South Salt Lake.
Okay.
I went to Granite High School. And so I think that after school, I just kept doing it for fun, and I didn't even start competitively bodybuilding until I was in my 40s.
Yeah, wow.
And I didn't even know I could.
Yeah.
Like, I was just lifting for fun, and somebody came up to me, and his name's Mike Chance. He was my
I know Mike.
Yeah.
Super
Yeah, I used to see him
guy.
at the Sandy Voss all the time. Him and my dad are friends.
We used to go pose up there in our underwear, right? In the posing, or in the
little like
aerobics center or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the only Vasa you could get away with it.
Yep.
Every place else will shut you down, but Mike had a good rapport with him anyway. And he came up and was like, hey, so you compete, right? And I'm like, nope. You know, I just kind of laughed like, yeah, right. Like, I could compete, you know? And he says, man, you could probably do really well, you know? Or I don't think he said probably. He said you could do really well. And I'm like, yeah, so you're a coach, huh? And he was like, yep. And I'm like, just looking for another client, you know, like, you know, he's like, no, honestly, how about I'll coach you for free for the first couple shows, and let's, you know, work together. I want to help you. Like, you have a lot of potential. I want to help you get into the industry. And so I'm really grateful for Mike for introducing me to the industry, right? And for being my first coach.
Yeah.
And for teaching me like so many different things about bodybuilding. I think I was with him for 2 or 3 years.
Did you do any shows with him?
6 shows, I think.
Wow.
before Justin Dees was backstage.
And that was before you became a coach?
That was before I was a coach, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't become a coach until I had been competing for a while.
Yeah.
And I'd been working out most of my life, and I learned a lot of nutrition because of my own medical issues. So I learned a lot about nutrition for that reason, but it transferred over into my career that I didn't know I was going to be in, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of people ask me throughout the years, like, why I don't become a coach, you know.
Yeah.
And most of the time I was like, everybody's a coach, you know, like it's so saturated with coaches. Like, I need to make money, you know.
Yeah.
Because that was my mindset back then. But then after everybody kept asking questions all the time, they'd see me or something. I'm like, well, maybe I should be a coach, because then, like, I could be making money for giving this advice.
Yeah.
And I could do something that I love, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got into coaching. And
it's cool to see that flip switch, because we were the same way. we did our first couple of shows.
I watched you guys. I was there.
Exactly.
I saw it all happen at
Yeah.
Iron Down. Both of you guys.
Exactly.
I watched you guys. You guys are totally different human beings right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, you're almost twice the size.
Well, I pretty much
like-
am twice the size.
Right?
Yeah.
You probably are.
And I had no interest in coaching or bodybuilding. Like, the concept to me, I thought was just ridiculous. And I only did my first show because he wouldn't stop asking me.
Yeah.
He kept telling me to do it. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it just to get you to shut your mouth, because I'm tired of it.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
I'm going to get tanned and wear shorts and, like, pose on stage. It's so stupid.
Right.
And then the second we got off
It
stage,
does
I
sound
prejudged me.
ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie.
No,
In the very beginning.
It
Yeah,
did.
I'm
It
like,
did. And
what?
I talked to my dad about it, because he never competed, but he lifted like a bodybuilder, and he always looked the part when he was, when he was my age. And so I told him about it, and he told me, like, just do it, because you never know what you're going to think of it.
Yeah,
He told
give
me
it
the
a
same
shot.
thing, and we got off stage at prejudging at the first Wasatch in 2020. And I looked at Johan, I'm like, God damn it. This is all I want to do now. Like, this is my whole life.
It's addicting.
Yeah.
It's
and
very
then
addicting.
Here
I
we
think
are.
Back to what you're saying, like who we were when we first met you to now. I think we transitioned it in such a profound way, because what we've learned at the time wasn't necessarily good. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yep.
With the people that I had at the time, and it's the people that I surrounded myself, wasn't a good environment. And so what we took away from that was we learned more what not to do with the client than we know what to do. And so when we developed Unfinished Lifestyle in 2020, I remember, because I called you before that, which we're gonna get to that in a second, but to be able to change someone's life is probably the most rewarding jobs I'll ever have in my entire life,
It's
unless I'm a
better than the
doctor or
money.
something.
It's better than the money by far, 100%. But
Yeah. But okay, so you did the bodybuilding, now you're a coach. And let's talk about that one phone call. So before that call, I actually had a call with Nick, because I was ready to separate myself from the company that I was working with. And I wanted to do my own thing, but I was so scared, bro, because I've never done anything by myself. This is my first business, right? Yep. And then I remember I called you and I said, hey man, I'm about to leave. Maybe because you told me something that you wanted to create a gym, and this is like a year before that.
Yeah.
And then you were telling me that you wanted to create FTC and you're finding a facility, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, we're in. Yep. And fast forward 3 years now. We've been at FTC for almost 3 years. And
you've grown exponentially.
We've grown a lot.
So we finally had the space to grow.
Your growth rate is like incredible.
But that's what I'm saying. But because of you and the space that you allow us to be in, allowed you to become who we are today.
Yep.
So that's why we wanted to have you come in here and say thank you from the bottom of our hearts, bro. Like, it's been...
Exactly.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys got to remember too that, like, you guys bring an energy with you. You guys helped build the culture at FTC, and I love the culture. It's like my family. You know what I mean? Like, that is my family, and that's why I treat people the way I do there, is because I consider them all family. They're not members. I'm not waiting for their paycheck every month.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Half the time I don't even know if their payment's late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more about, like, giving everybody a facility to grow together in, right? And I remember telling you that I wanted you there because I liked your personality.
Yep.
I liked the way that you worked with people. You just have a very creative way about doing things, right? Like talking to people, you good communication. So I was happy that you said yes. And I know there was a couple bumps and things in the road along the way that we were kind of like, oh, is this going to work? Is this not? And so I want to say thanks for believing in me, right? Because you left and you started your business at my gym, and if my gym would have failed, then where would you be, right?
Yep.
Right.
And I always take that into consideration now when I have my struggles with my business, that it's not just about me anymore now. It's about my coaches. It's about my members. It's about my athletes. So, so now it's just...
It's a home for a lot of people, man.
It is.
Oh, it is.
Well, we
I
see
love
the
it.
gym as, almost our gym. We're there.
Absolutely.
We're making sure stuff's cleaned up. We're putting stuff away. We're treating as if it's ours because we want to be respectful. We're renting the space, but we're there all day, every day.
It's a second home, right?
It is. It really, if we had a shower there, I would be at home. I'd tell my wife, like, sorry.
Shower.
Yeah, you and the baby you guys can
Cough.
take the bed. I'm going to be sleeping in the office tonight. I got to be back tomorrow. Anyways,
How long was the time period between the inception of the gym, like the idea, to completion? What made you want to start one? Is it similar? People were like, you should start a gym. You should be a bodybuilder. You should be a coach.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
So honestly, no, that's not what sparked the idea. That actually it was COVID, right? COVID happened, and then we at Iron Ground, everybody got shut down. We couldn't train people, so I had to just use my home office for nutrition clients only.
Yep.
And I'm like, you know what? I want a gym that I can train my athletes at and my clients at, and then I want to just have it with the sub shop, so that if they shut down gyms, at least they won't shut down my sub shop. And then I'll just let anybody who buys supplements free access to the gym. You know what I mean? That's not a business anymore. It's anyway.
It's a speakeasy.
Yeah. The speakeasy gym.
I mean, come on.
It's the only way that we're going to stay healthy in a situation like that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I can provide that, then please, because I wanted it for myself. I want it for my athletes, my clients, my career, my future, for everything.
And which baffles me because in that whole COVID situation, everything shuts down, but the liquor store is open.
Yep.
Yo.
Essentials, bro. Essentials.
Oh, bro. Come on.
know,
I
not
was
for me,
so angry, man. I'm like, this shit doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like, what do you mean? Like, we can go to a liquor store and...
Well, and think about how alcoholism spiked.
Yeah.
Domestic violence spiked.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they're all stuck at home, and now you're going to give them alcohol too? Like,
yeah.
whatever, though. That's not my
Those
thing.
are hard times, man. 2020 is like a blimp, to be honest with you. It was
was a
too much of
weird
a
year.
blimp.
But that's what sparked the idea, right? And then I started to the idea started to evolve into more of a vision. And I could almost see what I wanted it to be, And a lot of the ideas came from Iron Grounds, the black walls,
Yep.
the warehouse gym with the office space, and the mats, things like that.
Yep.
So I got a lot of ideas from there, and I was like, man, I just don't want somebody to be able to shut me down. What about me? What about my career? I can't take months off.
No.
I mean, I could. So I set up a gym in my garage. I literally put mats down. I had a Smith machine. I had a cable machine. I had. What
And you made it work, too.
Yeah.
I made it work, but
Hella.
I wanted it. I wanted everybody else to. You know what I mean? I wanted my clients to be able to, because I felt bad. Like, man, they could be making so much more progress if they just had a facility to work with. But so that was the spark, and then the vision, and then it just kind of evolved into okay, now I want to surround everybody with successful bodybuilders or successful athletes, or not just people who want to go to the gym, because that's what Boss is.
Yep.
Right? But people who go to the gym because they have goals, and they go there and they get their work done because they're going to crush their goals, right? It's a mindset. You know that?
Yes, it is.
So for the first 6 months, you guys remember, I didn't let anybody sign up unless they had an NPC card. They were a bodybuilder, and I knew that was going to hurt my pockets. But in the long run, I needed to saturate it with these people like yourselves, right? Saturate it with so many of those people that when other people came in with a different mindset, their mindset was going to switch over to that mindset, not the other way around, right? Because I mean, there's power in numbers, right? Or however you want to look at it, right? It's just a different energy, right? You go in there and you're like, oh shit, these guys work hard here. Holy shit, they're big, they're fit, right? I better get after it, right? Versus going to, boss and being like, oh yeah, I should go take some pictures too. Oh, whatever. Waiting forever for machines being broken for long periods of time. Like
people sitting there on their phones texting a group of teenage kids, hogging every machine, every dumbbell.
Yeah, right. And their goals are, I don't even know that they even set goals. They're just there to be there.
To go viral on TikTok.
Yep.
That's
Everybody has
it.
tripods. Come on,
Yeah.
bro. Like, I get it. Everybody wants to be influencer. I think that's part of the biggest reason why we love having and support private gyms so much is because social media made fitness or health such a big thing now, and everybody wants to be a fitness influencer because they see CBUM, they see all these guys, top level athletes in the world making a shit ton of money.
But I don't understand how they're like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some great kids out there, but there's some like 19-year-olds, 21-year-olds that are these influencers that have millions of followers, but it's like, what kind of knowledge do you have? Maybe you read some books. Maybe you have a lot of knowledge, but what kind of experience, life experience?
They don't have any.
20 years from now, are you going to look back and say, man, I wish I wouldn't have told everybody that?
Yep.
Right.
Not only that,
I may have ruined people's lives.
Yeah.
Right?
genetically and hormonally, like, like 18 to 25, like, of course you look great, dude. You're 19 years old.
You can eat whatever you want.
You
You're
can
going to
eat
look
whatever you
shredded.
want,
We
yeah.
did.
Because I've seen stuff like that, too, where
metabolism.
these kids have abs and stuff. And they're like, yeah, like, I eat whatever I want. And I just hit the gym really hard. It's like, bro, I'm 30. I cannot do that.
You can't outwork your diet when you get, eventually it's going to catch up with you.
Oh,
you can get
100%.
away with it for a while, right?
Yep. I mean, but
100%.
I do, going back to what you said, though, it makes me happy to see how many younger kids are going to the gym because I want to see people just stay healthy and exercise and all that. But the thing I don't like are these kids, like you said, who somehow all of a sudden get millions of followers on social media platforms and they're posting bullshit. And then what do they talk about? It's, I can eat whatever I want and I'm dosing Tren every week. It's like, one, you don't even know what that is. And two, if you were on actual Tren, you'd be on the transplant list for a new liver.
Right.
Like, that's what I don't like is it's getting to that point. We're moving away from the knowledge base to
bro
kids
science.
bro science. You're throwing stuff out there. I'm like, you don't even know what this means.
And by young people, like younger, like if you're young and you're watching this, like I get it, learn, absorb all the knowledge you can. Listen, you know what I mean?
Find a coach.
Instead of telling everybody everything you know, keep that knowledge and just listen for more, right? You could spend that time learning more and then get some experience. And then when you're ready to share your knowledge, you're going to help people so much more.
So much
the
more.
benefits are going to be there, know what you're talking about, right? Don't just.
But they want the
regurgitate.
attention. They want the clout. They want.
Yeah, they want to be.
Yeah, they want to be the next
Instagram
CBum.
famous,
It's like, do you all know
Facebook
what
famous.
CBum went through to get to where he's at? Like,
Yeah.
So what's your process like, Eddie? With that being said, with what you don't like, what do you like to do when coaching your clients? Like, do you have like a philosophy or something, like protocol? What do you like to do when you coach?
So it depends on the client, right? If it's lifestyle, if it's an athlete, if it's weight loss. But I don't like to do online stuff because I like to make sure that I can at least pinch their body fat with my calipers, and I know kind of like not just they're losing weight, but they're burning fat.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk about this all the time. Losing weight and burning fat are two different things. And so we burn fat at FTC. We don't just go lose weight. I don't know. I think I kind of adjust my criteria accordingly sometimes. You know what I mean? Because everybody's a little different.
Yeah.
I mean, athletes, I'm pretty consistent with their stuff. But lifestyle, I kind of have to adjust because some people are at a different level than others, right? So somebody maybe just starting out versus somebody who's been going to the gym for 5 years but just is at a plateau and doesn't know what to do next.
exactly.
So it's kind of hard to have a predetermined plan for everybody. You know what I mean? It's like
agree
a diet.
Yeah,
right?
I agree with you on that because we coach everybody differently, obviously, right? And everybody has different programs. Not everybody loves cardio. You can swim, walk, hike. I don't give a shit what you do.
Yeah.
Like,
Just do something to burn the calories.
Burn
Just move.
Burn calories.
Yep.
Our philosophy is this: there's no such thing as bad food, but there is such thing as better choices of food. And the reason why we approach that a lot is because we want people to have a good relationship with normal foods like McDonald's, Burger King's, pizza, burgers. Like, we want them to have a good relationship with those food. Over consuming those types of food.
Yeah, that's where it gets tricky.
That's when it gets dangerous.
We don't want them to associate, I got a Big Mac, and then you feel guilt.
And then you
feel
run an hour.
shame, and you try to go do more. We have people that send their check-ins like, sorry, coach, like I was stressed, I had a bad day, whatever. Like I went and got a Big Mac, I didn't mean to. And they fully expect us to yell at them. I'm like, what the hell are you doing, you piece of shit, blah, blah. It's like, no, that's okay. Maybe next time call me before you do that, but forgive yourself, and we need to learn what was the mental side of things that caused that.
So I think it depends on the circumstances and the client.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes I have to use that as like, I have to make them roll the dice because they messed up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have to give them consequences. And
Yeah.
I don't necessarily yell at them, but yeah, I do. They get consequences, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, but not all of them.
Yeah.
Because I know some of them would be like, what? Like, no, I'm not okay. This is too much, right? So it's gauging the client and knowing what they're ready for, right? It's like assessing them for working out, right?
Yeah.
You do an assessment.
Yeah.
You see what they can handle for the first couple of weeks of lifting before you actually write a plan for them.
Yep.
So that you can write the appropriate plan, right? Well,
Exactly.
you've got to be able to accommodate different clients
Yeah.
at different levels that have different goals. You know, it's like everybody taking different supplements and they're not eating for their goals. You know what I mean? They're just taking stuff to take stuff, but their goals, you have to eat for your goals too. They're not thinking of everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Speaking about coaching, what is the hardest, and we know the answer to this, but we want to hear your thoughts. What is the hardest types of clients that you have gone through in trying to coach someone?
So like non-compliance wise?
Yeah.
Just anything.
Like, just anything. What is the hardest clients that you deal with? Because for us, for example, the hardest client for me is when people work overnights and they have unpredictable schedule.
Yeah.
So
I
their
have a really
cortisol.
good
Yeah.
answer to this.
So their cortisol's in fact, we talked about this in our Zoom call today.
Yep.
Talk about stress. I don't think people understand how they can relate stress into weight loss. Because it's a huge combination. If you high stress, high cortisol, you don't
burn fat.
you don't
nothing's
burn
gonna happen.
anything.
No.
In fact, you don't even, because you can't sleep.
Yeah.
So I had clients that do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday regular shift, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday regular shift, and then they have Thursday, Friday off, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday they're back on the AM shift, like 12 a.m.
So their sleep schedule's never consistent. Yeah.
So and then they flip again the next week, and I'm like, I've coached a lot of nurses back, even now. It's probably one of the hardest clients for me.
So for me, it's the officers.
The officers.
Police officers.
Okay.
Because it's hard for them to get their meals in during the day if they're on a call.
That's right.
If they're all over the place. Like sometimes it's convenient, but that's inconsistent because they're on a call, and I probably have between eight
have a
and
bunch.
10, between 8 and 10 like street police officers and so I have to accommodate for them. So I have a system I built out for people like that too, right? With like a real food shake, right? To match macros for a real food meal. So I have them have an extra shake with them throughout the day, and then they hit meals when they can. And the only time they hit that shake is if they can't hit a meal.
Got it.
Right? But that shake is egg whites, peanut butter, oats, and it's pretty much matched the macros to their
meal.
chicken, right?
Except
whatever.
it's liquid.
Except for it's liquid, and they can pound it in about 2 minutes. They can run to their car to grab a pen, drink it, and walk back. You know what I mean?
I'm going to use that tactic because we do have a couple officers.
Great.
Yeah. I'm going to use that tactic. Thank you for that, because this is me learning at the same time. That's a good idea.
It's perfect. And then at the end of the
Great
night,
idea.
if they didn't have to, then that's just their last meal, right? So you account for those calories regardless.
Yep.
Yeah.
You just have that as like, okay, you make this fit where you can.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they're on a call for 2 or 3 hours,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, other than the job situation, I think the hardest clients for us, anything with like Crohn's diseases, right, or any gut health issues, or
Stuff like that.
hormonal
For
disease.
me though, but on the opposite end, it's a person who's never done anything competitive in their life. They've never had a coach or anything. To me, that's the hardest, because they don't know that discipline. They don't know the intensity. They don't know a lot of this stuff. Where, with Johan and I growing up, we've known each other since we were kids. My dad was our coach for soccer. So we have that. We've had a coach. We've done the drills. We've done the repetitiveness. We've put what we practiced into actual play. But we get people they've never done anything competitive in their life.
I second that too, because
So not necessarily a lack of discipline, but in no experience in
Zero
at
experience,
all.
zero knowledge.
Yeah,
They don't know what to
experience.
expect. So
some
when we
of
have
them-
those hard conversations, they shut down. It's like, no, this isn't us being mean. It's we have to give you feedback, because if we don't, I'm failing as a coach, and you're not going to
You're
grow.
not going to grow. You're not going to
So
get results.
that, for me, that's the hardest one. Outside of like a health issue.
I've
right?
seen that because I've worked with clients, and I get them in there, and they could push more weight, right? But they think they're trying as hard as they can, and as soon as it gets a little bit hard, they're like, "Okay, I'm done."
Yep.
And I'm like, "No, it's supposed to be hard. Like it's gonna be
we
hard."
tell them to go to
If
failure.
it's easy, everybody's gonna do it. Like it's supposed to be hard. You have to push through those, and sometimes they just don't understand that,
No.
and they think they can only do so much. You just like have to trust me. Let me
Yeah.
put a little bit of weight on here and try it.
You can do it.
And then they
You'll be
push it a
fine.
couple. They're like, oh wow, I can do this.
Yeah.
Oh wow, right?
Yeah.
So I recognize those clients.
Yeah.
Now, I think you said the hardest client for you was the
Like
gut
Crohn's
issues.
disease, gut health issues.
Gut health
So-
issues.
Yeah.
It's-
That one too.
I think, I don't know how many people know, but a lot of people know I don't have a large intestine.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
That's something that we want to bring up.
Right. So I that's what earlier when I said I learned about nutrition more because of my own personal medical history versus because I wanted to be a coach. Right. I had to learn because like I had my large intestine removed. I had my colon removed. Like a complete.
Did you
colectomy.
have, is it FAP?
No, I had ulcerative colitis.
Okay. Because I have a client who she's small intestine to rectum.
Okay, so that
Because she had
should be more of a Crohn's thing. Right?
She had Crohn's, and then she had it's called FAP familial something polyposis, where she would develop a lot of polyps. So they had to remove everything. So it's just kind of similar.
Similar.
Yeah.
It's real similar.
Yep.
Yeah. But so that I didn't. Mine was just large, right? Where my
Okay.
colon is. So they removed that and they put in a colostomy bag. So I actually had a colostomy bag hanging for
A
4.5
while.
years. 4.5 years.
really?
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it was a real hard time in my life that
Yeah.
I honestly I had like a mental breakdown over it. I had an emotional meltdown. I cried when I looked in the mirror when I first saw myself. I was in the hospital for 30 days, and I went into the hospital. I was 219 pounds, probably right around 10% body fat. And when I got out, I was like 164 pounds.
Oh my God.
And who knows what it was? It was just skin. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
was just like, I couldn't believe it. And
And how old were you here? What year was this?
gosh, this was in 2000 and I had the surgery in 2010. 2010.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep.
So you've had it for 14 years now.
Yep. But so, and then I had the bag, what they call a takedown surgery, right? So they used my small intestine to make a pouch, right? They call it a J pouch. They unravel it and they make an incision along the sides of it, and then they take those sides and they sew the outsides together, so it's like a pouch. And then they reconnect everything else, right?
Wow.
So I had, and that was a couple of surgeries, probably a year and a half of like reconstructive surgery on my organs. You know what I mean?
Jeez. Would you say you had some near death experience at this point?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the reason why I want to speak big on this is because we talk a lot about men's mental health or mental health in general.
Absolutely.
And the last couple episodes has been huge.
The last one was very emotional about
The last one's very, very emotional with one of our clients, Alton. You met Alton. He was a really nice couple.
So I've actually been in therapy
Yeah.
for years. Like, I mean, like sometimes I might not see my therapist for 6 months or something, but I try to make sure that because you know what, I suffer from mental health issues.
Yeah.
Like, I have struggles, and so the gym is my outlet. The gym is my antidepressant, and then my family. I have great support system. Right, if I didn't have the support system that I did, I don't really know where I'd be. I've gone through some struggles, and if it hadn't been for my friends and family, like.
And I want to speak a little bit about that, and you can be as detailed as you want or not. It really doesn't matter for us, but we want to know, how did you deal with when your brother passed away, right? I forgot his name. What was his name? Anthony. Tony, and I think, and then after that, you had your mom as well, or your caregiver, or whoever that person was. Dude, I remember when I came into your office, I'm like, "Are you okay?" I gave you a huge hug, and I was like, "Look, man, whatever you need, we're here. We're your family. We're friends. Like, if you ever need anything, if you ever think about jumping off that bridge, you gotta let me know."
We didn't
You
want to
gotta let
overstep,
somebody.
but we're just like, like
yeah, you know,
back to back to back. Like, what can we do to help? Especially, running the gym and making sure stuff's being taken care of, so you have your own time to just process and relax.
If you want to walk through that, what was those moments?
Honestly, like, it's kind of hard to even. So for like maybe the past couple of years, I went through a divorce, and I was really stressed out. Maybe had the potential of losing half my business. I mean, there was just so much. at stake. And then something happened just out of the blue, and I had a seizure, like for 7 minutes. And I thought I should have died at that point, right? I thought, why, like, when I saw the video of it, I was like blown away. I'm like I should have died, and I don't even know why, right? So that was a crazy event that just put my mind in a different place. And then 3 days later, my brother died.
I didn't realize it was that close.
Sorry to hear that, man. I know it's hard for you to talk about it.
Sorry.
No.
We can get you some. But yeah, I mean, it's very hard to be in that space, and that's why I want to talk about that, because with what you experience and what you go through, and hoping that you can give people advice that can go through that, are going through that same motion, right? And I know you're still healing. I know this is still new to you.
But more of like, what kept you going in those moments? 'Cause I mean, you went through, like you said, that was a rough patch, and you've come out of it. And what was that driving factor of
Honestly,
still waking up every day?
It was like I said earlier, it was like, it's not just about me. Like, I have my people that depend on the gym to feed their families. I have coaches there. Like, where would they go? What would they do? Well, they can't pay their bills. They can't feed their families. Because why? Because of me? No. Like, I'm not going to let that happen. It's just not in it's not in my DNA, you know. So it was hard, man. I don't know. Like, I was so lost for like a year there that I was kind of just going through the motions, making sure like my responsibilities were met, my obligations were met, and just moving forward, like almost subconsciously, you know. And then my mom passed away.
Within months.
No, it was this year.
Oh.
It was about a year later.
A year
It
later.
it was 9 months. Yeah, it was 9 months later.
Yeah.
It was January 1st, actually.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that was just like man, like, when is it going to stop? Like, I'm struggling with all these things, you know? But I think what turned it around is I had to just stop and think about, like, look at all the blessings I have. And you know what? I am going to be okay, because look where I've gotten by myself.
Yeah.
You know, I don't come from money. Like, honestly, I got out of prison in 2014 with $500 to my name, and that had to buy clothes. And I had my daughters dropped off and said, you can have custody starting today, the day I got out of prison. I'm like,
Wow.
Whoa.
with zero. So that's where my drive came from.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do? Like, I was working 2 jobs every day. You know, I was bouncing at a bar at night up until 2 o'clock in the morning, but then I'd get up at 6 o'clock and go set tile or be a tile helper with a good friend of mine, you know, Chris. But like, I was just work so that I could just support my daughters. So I don't come from money. I had to earn every bit of it by myself, you know. And so if I hadn't had, I don't know, man, like, I just have a great support system and family around me. I think that's what got me through it all too. I changed my perspective of looking at the past. Looking towards the future, I guess.
Yeah.
But I still struggle, you know what I mean? I'm still not completely found yet.
Yeah.
I have my moments.
But you know what's crazy? First of all, I just want to let you know this. I think we all can speak on this. Is we are, first of all, proud of you for still pushing forward and still changing lives and still being a part of her life and our lives.
Well, that's what I admire about you the most is, I mean, you went through absolute hell, but you were so determined to make sure the people around you were taken care of. And that's what we wanted to make sure you're taking time for yourself, because we see it. You come in, you're always checking on us. What do we need? You're getting new equipment for the gym. You're always asking us, you know, if everything's okay. You're going and interacting with our clients and all the other coaches' clients. And so that's what I really love about you and look up to. The fact is that you went through this stuff, but you're still making sure you're getting up and you're coming to the gym, to the office to make sure that we can still do our job.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're doing good, man.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, I think that in my opinion, those are like that's one of the, if not the most admirable quality of, if somebody was to ask me what is it to be a man, everyone comes before you. And I think that's, if you wanted to segue into something like that in terms of men's mental health, bro, like I think that's one of the reasons a lot of men struggle with mental health is because everyone else comes first.
Yep. My wife's always, I'm always asking my wife, like, are you okay? Do you need anything? Or like I tell her sometimes I feel like I'm not really doing much because I can't do anything. She's a newborn. Like, what am I supposed to do? And she's always telling me, like, you're doing more than I expected. Why do you always ask that? I'm like, well, because it's my job. I'm supposed to take care of you and Mila. Like, that's what I'm here for, right? And yeah, I'm exhausted, but like I got home from soccer last night, I said like almost 2 a.m. Our daughter didn't go to bed until almost 4, and then she woke up again at 5:30, and I told my wife to stay in bed, and I got up and was trying to feed her. And she's like, no, go back to bed. You've gotten no sleep. I'm like, well, I'm fine. Like, I'll be okay. And so like Colton said, it's we put everyone before ourselves, and we don't realize that until we hit rock bottom.
But
like,
also,
oh,
you could be going to bed well rested.
Yeah.
No wife that
Yep.
you love. No kids.
Yep.
No gym.
Yep.
No wifey. No kid. Like,
I think
sure, you could get some sleep.
I think we'd all rather be exhausted with no sleep, having what we have, than going to bed rested, having no one.
Oh, yeah.
And having nothing. I
So
mean,
then
I
that
can get
boils
sleep
down to
whenever I
looking at your
want, but
blessings, right?
Yeah.
Looking at like the value of your life. It's not about money.
no.
That's not really what's valuable. Like
No.
the blessings are the people around you.
Yep.
The good times and memories you guys get to share together. Like those are, and I think that's what my perspective when I was like in that space. I'm like, man, like life is so hard, but I'm like, look at what I have. Like I have more than most. Like I'm so blessed. I have so many blessings. I have so many great people in my life. I have the best. I hands down the best circle of friends like you could ever have. Like I don't feel like I could ever fail because I don't feel like any of you guys would let me fail. You know what I mean?
No, that
Like,
doesn't happen,
the support
man.
system that I feel like
Absolutely
we
not.
have there. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm obligated or I want to do that as well, right? I just want to do the same. If we all did the same, if everybody on the planet did that, this would be a great place to live.
Do you so that mindset that you had of like what you're just talking about, is that somewhat of a new mindset that you've taken? Do you feel like the former version of Eddie from when you got out of prison would have taken that same approach? Because obviously you did with your daughters, but if you were in that situation when you first got out,
So multiple versions, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like I've reinvented myself a couple of times.
I mean, just in the time that we've known you, I've seen it.
Right, like I've been in recovery for 14 years now.
Yeah.
And like I don't
Congrats, bro.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Huge.
thank you. So like I know what it's like to be an addict. I know what it's like to be in those places, and I was like I was a shitty person for a long time. Like I'm not proud
Yeah.
of what
Does that even feel like you when you think back to those moments, or does it feel like you almost it was like a movie you watched and you're like, wait, holy shit, that was my life?
Oh, it was definitely more than more than a movie.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a lot of points that were like scary. There was a lot of learning, a ton of learning experiences, obviously.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be like who I am right now. Like I wouldn't have been able to overcome what I'm overcoming now.
Yep.
Had I not had to learn how to overcome things in the past.
Yeah.
Right. Like having to do all those things and still be okay. Like
Yeah.
that's I think that's what taught me those lessons.
Yeah.
And having such a negative impact on people for so long, and then seeing it and then feeling it while I'm in there and my daughters are homeless and I'm in prison, like all of that coming together was like,
So that was that a flipped?
oh,
Was that a
100%.
moment that you
and then,
flipped
and
your
then
life?
just listening, there was a moment when everybody was in like a dorm setting or whatever, and they were all laughing and joking and telling jokes, and just the jokes they were telling about, like just the things they would say that they thought was funny.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I hit my old lady in the mouth and knocked her teeth out, and everybody'd laugh, and I'm like,
You're just like, what the hell?
I don't find that very amusing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
no.
these are not my people. I'm not like these people. I don't want to be like these people. This is not who I am.
Yeah.
And that moment there, I remember all the time. I always remember that moment. Like, this is not who I want to be.
Yeah.
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 And you changed that completely. Now you have your own businesses.
Yeah, businesses. We have an amazing gym that we have people coming to all the time. We want to come check it out. We had a guy come do, his podcast, YouTube channel thing there. We have the posing seminars there.
We worked out with Hunter Labrada.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nick
I know.
Walker was there too, wasn't he?
Yeah, Nick Walker. If you'd have told me like 15 years ago that this would be my life right now, I would have told you you're smoking crack.
Yeah, I did the same
You know what I
thing.
mean? Put down the pipe, sir.
No, it's true, man. Like
No,
I asked myself the same question, like before I started my journey. I'm like, if you would have told me I looked the way I look today and as successful as I am today, I would have told you to kick rocks.
No.
I'm like,
Yeah.
get the hell out of here.
way.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no
but I
way.
think, but honestly, I think part of the reason why that I'm here and part of the reason why that you're here is only because there was people behind you that push you along the way. You know, Nick's has been my day one for the longest time, and Colton's been with me since we opened Unfinished Lifestyle. And my wife, she's the only one that's seen me big, small, poor, rich, all in one.
Yep.
And she's seen that, and she allowed me to do this full time. Quit my job, making $1,500 to $2,000 a month, barely coaching at the time, my first year.
I remember.
Yeah. And so to now, oh my gosh, like it's incredible. Even when listening to your story from being in prison and have that turnaround time, have that moment of flipped in your head to successful business owner now with the gym, with amazing coaches.
And I like to serve the, the officers, because I felt like I was a hoodlum, or like I was just I was a big problem for them in the past. So I kind of try to make up for it somehow.
Yeah.
And you're doing it, man.
You know what I mean? Because I actually, a couple of those guys, like, I used to, I guess you could say I used to hate cops, but it was because I was always doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
Of course.
You can take me to jail. I hate you.
Yeah.
Of course.
You know what I mean? No. So, like, now that I've grown up into, like, an adult, I have some of my best friends are police officers.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You know.
Yeah.
You know, Jason,
Well,
Jason,
Andrew,
yeah.
Josh, like, there's a
Yep.
ton of them. Like, they're great guys.
Yeah.
I was just not a great guy. So, and I want to go back to what you said a minute ago, because a key factor in me changing, and I knew it because I planned it when I got out, was surrounding myself with those people who are going to push me forward, right?
Yeah.
I changed everything about my surroundings. I changed, like, I didn't talk to those people I used to talk to before. If they would reach out, it was like, hey, good to see you, got to go, like, I don't have time. Sorry, I'm busy. I'm a dad. I'm a single dad. I got to go to work. Sorry, And I just avoided all that stuff. And I surrounded myself with successful people. And I give a lot of credit to him, like my best friend, Chris. Chris, he's like such a well-rounded guy.
Awesome
like,
guy.
Integrity, honesty. I mean, he's got so many amazing characteristics, you know what I mean? Like, and so you know how it is. People rub off on you.
Yeah.
And me and Chris hung out all the time for years, right? And so I wanted him
And
to
you
rub
work with
off
him,
on me.
right?
Yeah, I did work with
Yeah.
him. We trained together. We're just really close. We'd go snowmobiling, everything. And so some of those qualities rubbed off on me, you know what I mean? Because I respected that. I respected how he treated people. I respected the way he carried himself.
Yep.
I loved his energy, right? He's just a good person.
And he owned his own business.
And he owned his own business. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, man, this is the kind of person I want to be. So I intentionally, and I tell my clients all the time, like, you're going to be a product of your environment, right? Choose wisely.
Yep.
Like, pick your environment. People are like, life throws you into certain situations or environments, and people just, okay, here I am. These are my new friends. Like,
You become a chameleon.
My daughter goes and gets a job, right? And
Yeah.
she's such an introvert. She doesn't go out of the house much. So when she gets a job, she ends up socializing with the people at work, and they're just her friends, right? Well, who knows what these friends' characteristics and habits are?
Yeah.
Are they healthy people?
Yep.
Do they have good habits?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. But, like, so if you know you're a product of your environment, like, look at your environment. Like,
If it's not what you want it to be, you need to change it.
yeah, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Assess your environment, like, on a regular basis. Assess the people you're hanging out with,
Yeah.
right? And be like, do I look up to that guy? You know, do I look up to that person? Do I want to be like them? Because if you do, like, they're great people too. You want to hang out with them.
Yep. I mean, what value do they bring to your life, right? And sometimes that can be a tough conversation to have with someone if you're close with them. But at the end of the day,
well, it's not necessarily, I don't think, what value do you bring?
Yeah.
But do you have a negative impact on them?
Yes.
I don't need value. I just don't need anybody to pull me away from what I want to do, right? Because I don't want anything back. I just don't want to go backwards.
No.
So I need the people that are going to help push me forward, right, to reach my goals.
And we have conversations with our clients all the time. Well, they come to us and like, hey, ever since I started with this, this program with you guys, my friends don't invite me out anymore. And I see on social media, like, they all went to the bar and they didn't even text me. And I asked them, like, what the hell? And like, well, because you're boring now. And you do this and that. And we tell them, like, your circle is going to change. The circle of friends I had before him and I got into bodybuilding was like, 11 people. We're hanging out every weekend, drinking, we're having fun, this and that. And now I see one of them. And that's just my best friend I've known my entire life, because he stopped doing that stuff too. And now, I hang out with him, with Colton, with my dad, because he's very successful. My wife owns 2 businesses and has her job now.
We don't have a lot of time to hang out with people anyway. I feel like sometimes that's why we get such a good family at the gym, right? Because we're there so much. And these are the people we socialize with. And
that's our way of hanging out.
It is. It is our way of socializing.
Yep.
And there are people that do what we do.
Yeah.
Because they're there, right? So I feel like, surround yourself with, and to go back to it, when, so you hit it on the head. Like, that was a key factor in reinventing myself to be somebody different, right? And surrounding myself with those people such as yourself, right? Like, you guys have this great energy. Like, I want some of that. I'm going to steal some of that if you don't mind. You know what I mean?
Take it.
I just love that about you guys. And so that's what the gym is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a good vibe. It's supposed to be a good energy. It's supposed to be a place where we can, like, work hard and, like, not be intimidated and not be, just go be there and be a part of the family.
That was one thing that always blew me away too, is like, the people that don't go to the gym talk the most shit about you going to the gym, and then you go to the gym and you think that all these meathead dudes are going to be like, you're small every single dude. You look big, bro. Like, all the time.
Well, we were talking about that. Like,
huge.
my wife asked me one day, she's like, I want your honest, like, God's honest answer to this. I'm like, okay. She's like, do any of the women at the gym ever come up and hit on you?
No.
Because she's fine. They're just like, but do they? I'm like, no.
We
like,
wish.
Never. I've never had anyone. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I go to the gym. Like, if one of our female friends come up, like, oh my God, you're looking so good. I'm like, okay, thanks. Like, I'll take the compliment. Yeah. But like, if you come up, I remember a while ago when I came back from Spain the second time, you told me, like, dude, you're looking big. Like, I've noticed you've grown. I was on cloud 9 all goddamn day. I'm like, the biggest dude in the gym just said, I'm looking big. Like, that's what I care about.
Thanks, bro.
I'm so too.
The typical response. The typical response. I'm trying to look like you, bro.
Trying to look like you, man. Trying to be like you.
It's a typical thing, but
you don't want to be like
I want to bring this back though, because coming from your life before, into morph yourself into the successful human being and surround yourself with the great people. I hope listeners understands that just because you didn't go to jail, it doesn't mean that you don't get to change your life either, right? So I want people to really listen to this and understand that you can change your life. You're not a fucking tree. You're not a tree. None of us are a tree.
You're not stuck in one spot.
You know what I mean? Like, you can change, you can move. And you know what? Like, sometimes when you want to improve your life, whether that's health, wealth, or whatever that is, sometimes you got to change your environment.
Sometimes you have to get some toxic people out of your life, even though they've been part of your family or your friend for so long that sometimes you have a hard time doing that. But you've got to put yourself first in the situation, right?
Well, it could be actual family members.
Like that, trust me, it is for me. There's actual family members that I don't associate with, period, because their lifestyle is not what I agree with. And I'm not going to be influenced by it. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to be around it. I just don't want anything to do with it. So I'm sorry, like, I can't see you. When you show me a year of sobriety, like a whole year of sobriety, call me. But until then, I already know your ups and downs and your whatever. Like, I've already tried hard enough. And it was because you were around these guys that was helping you recognize that, hey, I don't want that. Like, I want this. I want to be that. I want to feel good,
Yep.
like in a different way, right? Not a temporary buzz. Like I want to feel good when I wake up and walk around, you know, like every day.
One thing that I want to talk about is, when did you get your pro card? And the reason why I asked that question is this. I want people to know your age, your current age right now. Right? So what is that number?
78 years old.
I knew I was going to say something like that.
No, I'm 51.
Yeah. With you being 51, looking the way you look today, and
There's
I
no
and I tell
51-year-olds
people
that look like
yeah,
this,
Yeah.
dude.
First of all, I don't see many people 50. Shit, I never see anybody above 30 to look your way, except if they're in my our little tiny circle, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that you are sitting at 51 looking like this, I admire you for that, because if I look like you by the time I'm 51, I'm winning, bro. I'm winning.
Yep.
Right? Maybe I'll get there. I don't know.
You're not going to be that tall, but
Listen,
You never know.
listen. I could get knee surgery.
There's new supplements coming
Some-
out.
Yeah,
is there some new?
Some new peptides.
No, but I love that, because every one of my clients was like, hey, who's that guy? I'm like, what do you mean? That guy? Oh, Eddie. Oh, he's he's the owner. I'm like, oh, he looks great. I'm like, yeah, I guess how old he is.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, he's 42. No, he's 51. And people are shocked. And I think back to our conversation this morning on our Zoom call, one of the biggest thing that we want to talk about is the longevity of life. The number one thing, the number one thing about longevity is you got to increase muscle mass. You have to lift weights.
And you have to move.
You have to
move
move.
around a lot.
Yep.
You know
You
what
have
I
to
mean?
move. And it's I know
we're
we always
turning
talk
into
about
Wall-E,
nutrition. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and
Well, we're making all this convenient stuff so we can make life easier for us, so we can just sit in a chair and have everything done for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like DoorDash, I mean, like
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have AI, right? Like,
Yeah.
when does it stop? But all these things that we're trying to get, that would make my life easier. Oh, that, you know what? Just get up and go change a channel on the TV with your hand. You know what I mean? Like,
Or smack the
right?
TV a little bit.
Go turn on the light. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Forget the clapper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I admire you because of your
appreciate
physique.
that,
And
bro.
so when did you get your pro cards? Because you didn't start lifting until you're like in the
You're in
40s, right?
yeah.
Well, I mean, lifting, but competing.
Yeah, seriously.
So 2019 is when I got my pro card.
Yeah.
wow,
And I was 49. Yeah,
You're
no,
47?
47.
48, yeah.
I mean, so that is, people think, oh, I'm done. You know, I don't need
Yeah,
to.
I'm too old
I'm
to
too
start.
old. Get the
Yeah.
hell out of here, bro.
Someone
Get
said the other
hell
day,
outta
and so I
here.
brought my grandmother will be 83 this year, and she reversed type 2 diabetes and is the healthiest she's ever been, and she's flying back home to Serbia because she's healthy. Where last year she was in the hospital for clogged bile ducts in her liver. So I'm like, if
That's
an
why-
83-year-old can
that's why
reverse
she
type
lost
2
some weight,
diabetes.
huh? I forgot to mention
Yeah,
that.
she's lost weight and she's
That's
healthy.
right,
She
that's
goes on walks around the neighborhood every day. I'm like, if she can do it, she's 4 foot nothing, hardly speaks English. Like,
Think about it
You
this
can
way:
do
those people who are saying that they're too old, they're already in the wrong mindset.
Yeah.
Right? It's all mindset. If they think they're too old, then guess what? They are.
yeah,
We have to find a way to change their mindset to where they don't think they are, right? Because
Yep.
you are what you think you are, really.
Yeah.
If you can see it, you can be it, right? If you believe it, you can achieve it, all that fun stuff. But like all this self-doubt is just tearing people down because
Yeah.
they don't believe in themselves.
yep. Well, it's easier to speak negatively about yourself than it is positively.
Some people.
For some, yeah, right.
But yeah.
You know, it's, I don't know.
So what is your advice for all the people that are listening to this, if they've gone through similar things, right? Whether
Well-
that's death, whether that's out of prison or life
I
changing.
guess
like,
it would just be adversity, right? Like I guess my advice would be like, because everybody is always, if something bad happens, like myself included, you dwell on it and it sucks, right? Well, get over it and move on. Like it's happened, it's done. Rectify the situation and move forward, right? Rather than just like let that hold you down like a weight. You know what I mean? Because guess what, guys? Life's gonna suck. It is. Like plain and simple. There's gonna be parts of your life that just suck. Everybody's gonna have different experiences that suck. From what I went, there might be somebody else that had, something way worse than me, but I can't tell by looking at them, right? Like life is gonna suck. Man up, like just be like, okay, well, let me deal with this shit so I can get back to my life, instead of just, because I did it myself, honestly. Like I had an emotional meltdown when I had the bag, right? Like I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I lost 60 pounds of muscle, I'm like I didn't man up. And I have a lot of respect and mad respect. And I want to shout out to, what's his name? He has the same situation as me. His name is on the tip of my tongue right now. Jackson.
Oh.
What's his name?
Jackson.
The black guy that has
Yeah.
the same thing. What's his name?
Oh,
He's just turned pro.
Oh my hell.
Nick.
Yeah.
Nick Jackson.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Nick.
I love Nick, but you know what? Nick had the same thing happen to him with his, like, and I hope I'm not sharing too much, but, and he overcame it like a champion. Like, he did not let it slow him down. He just went, he dealt with it, he moved on, and now he's a pro. Like, but it took me years to deal with it, right? And I just held myself back. The reason I'm 51 and look like this is because I held myself back. I'd look even better, you know? But I was too busy, like, holding myself back because I was like, oh, I suck, or I don't, like, look at me, look, this sucks, I can't do this, or I can't do that. Well, yeah, I can. I just got to find a way, you know what I mean? And so I guess my advice is it doesn't matter how bad it seems. Like, it can always be worse, and it will get better if you will deal with things and just move forward, right? But you have to deal with it and move forward. You can't, if you just sit around and you think somebody else is going to deal with the emotional health for you, it can't happen. You've got to deal with it so you can move forward. And that way, that helps your mental health. That helps your confidence, your self-esteem, your success. I mean, it's priceless.
So what do you do on the free time then besides gym, besides
Right
work?
now,
Yeah.
I like to golf, shoot bow and arrows.
Because you got to keep yourself occupied, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I keep occupied.
You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. But like, I think people forget to fill that space.
Yep.
Like everybody.
No,
has,
they do. It's balance, right? There's so many athletes, and I try to preach that to my clients too. If they're not on prep and they're in off season, don't just worry about work in the gym. Like, get your work done, but like, what are you doing with your family this weekend?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's another thing, like, I want to touch on maybe real quick is, like, I see a lot of guys that get so, maybe girls too, but get so focused and zeroed in on their prep or this lifestyle or whatever that they start to neglect their home life and their family. And, you know, like, don't forget, like, this is just a hobby or a career. It's not your family. Like, those are important people.
That stuff will always be there, but your family won't.
And honestly, that's probably has a little bit to do with why I failed some relationships myself. Yeah. Right? Because I was so zeroed in on something else that I've neglected where I should have been. So my kids included. Like, I have a lot of regrets that way. But
how's your relationship with your kids now?
Great.
Yeah. I love that.
And we always give your daughter shit when she comes to the gym.
Every time.
Like, bathroom's dirty. You going to clean it? Like, what are you doing?
Right?
Yeah, she comes in sometimes.
My daughters are so awesome. I love my kids. They're great. And
because you probably lost a lot of time with them, huh?
A lot of time.
Yeah.
I think the reason that they're so great and responsible and stuff is because they saw all the mistakes I made. And they're like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go through what Dad went through. Like, oh my gosh. You know what I mean? They don't want to go through that. So I think that's why they don't do a lot of the things they don't do. And I'm grateful for that.
That's good, though.
I'm grateful for that. Right? So, for sure.
Something you mentioned earlier I wanted to add, or kind of like touch on, is you said that when people were making jokes that you didn't really vibe with, you said, I don't want to be that person. You didn't really elaborate, like, okay, well, what do you want to be like? The thing that came to my mind is, if you were to pass away, like, what would you want people to say? Like, oh, he, owned the gym and he was an all right guy. Like, I think that's something kind of to touch on too. You just mentioned what you don't.
And honestly, like, I just want people to say that I had a good impact on the people around me. Like I was a good influence, not a bad influence. Like, I did good for the world. I already created chaos. I own that. I already done that part. But like, I want to like try to like balance that out, or even more so with the good parts, right? Like just being a good person and giving forth your best efforts for other people and yourself, right? Like treating yourself right. Yeah. You know what I mean? You have to treat yourself right too, right? Yep. I'm learning that because
that's new for me too. Like when you have these problems and addictions, you are not being kind to yourself first and foremost. I think I saw a quote too. It's a little cliche, but it says like, a man has the power to destroy everything around him, but instead he chooses to like destroy himself. And that's usually where like addiction comes from, is not wanting to hurt like other people, but
it does in a different way, right?
Yeah.
With
So
the ripple effect,
you're not
right?
doing it directly.
Because I remember telling myself all the time, it only hurts me. It only hurts me. Why do you care? Why do you care? Well, it does hurt other people. There's a ripple effect that's huge. And I think, too, that's the other reason I try to be the person that I do try to be, is because, like, there's a lot of eyes on me now with, like, Instagram and just where I'm at, you know what I mean? And I know that I'm an example, whether I want to be or not.
Yes.
Right? So
100%.
I'm going to try to set the example of what I would like other people to be. You know what I mean?
I think that comes with a business owner, though. You know what I mean? Because whatever you do outside of whatever you do, represent that
business,
brand.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Decisions you make,
Yep.
even in your personal life, people are like, oh.
Yeah, they're going to associate it with the brand.
Yeah, or
As they
even if
should.
it's
As they should. I mean, it's part of your personality, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It impacts other people. If you have members and then you do something, they're like, oh, this person goes to that person's gym that did this thing,
Yes.
and it like affects everyone else.
it affects it.
100%.
It's a lot bigger picture. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so again, that's why we want you to be on here, because I know you have so much story to tell, and truth be told, like, I don't know a lot of the stories that you told me today.
Yeah.
You know, and this is new to us. You know, I know a little bit.
it's not a lot.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff
Yeah.
I try not to share too much because
Yeah.
people do judge, for one.
Yeah.
For two, I'm not proud. I'm ashamed of who I was.
Yeah.
But you can change that.
I just hope at some point you can find a way to forgive
I'm proud
yourself
of who
for
I
it,
am.
you know?
I have,
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I still have my moments, but I'm proud of who I am now for sure.
Yeah.
100%, because I put forth the effort to be the person that I am.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I think it's amazing that even when you went to prison, and depending on how long you were there, obviously, there's a blip in your life that was missing to now get out of that situation to become the person you are today. Is such a huge accomplishment, and not many people can do that.
Not many people would do that.
Yeah.
Everybody can do that.
Yeah,
Everybody
everyone can, but
can.
are they willing to? you
But
know?
not everybody's willing to do that,
Yeah.
I guess. But again, like, life has blessed me with circumstances. I think sometimes it's like some things just fell into place. Sometimes
But I think you created those circumstances.
Probably.
Right? I mean, I think had you not been looking for that, and you didn't have that snap in the gym of like, or in prison rather, like, I don't want to be like that, I'm going to change. If you didn't have that, if life presented you with these circumstances, do you honestly think you would have taken the chance, or would you have just stayed in your comfort zone because that's all you
I know
knew?
for a fact that life wouldn't have offered me these opportunities.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't prepared for them, and I didn't deserve them. For sure, you know. And I feel like life won't give you those opportunities if you don't deserve them.
No.
Really, if they do, then they're not. It's a facade.
Yep.
You know.
No, it's amazing though, because people, I don't know what it's like to be in prison, obviously, but when you come out, how difficult it is to start over and readjust to society and
start a new life.
Start a new life,
Such
and
a-
just even like finding things like work and a place to live, because it doesn't seem like there's really resources for people who come
and
out
have
of
a
that.
felony, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's certain places you can't get an apartment, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
struggles.
So to go from having all of that you have to figure out and navigate through to where you're at now, it's incredible.
And if there's anybody out there that is struggling with things like that and trying to like survive after getting out of prison and not knowing what to do and needing resources, one of my really good friends, Jeff Richens, owns a coaching business called Heroes, right? And it's basically life coaching for people who are getting out and they need some coaching to help them adapt to society and be
awesome.
successful in society. So like if anybody's watching or whatever and needs some of that information, just feel free to reach out to these guys and I'll get it to them. So
Or they can reach out to you.
or they can reach out to me. Like
We'll make sure they get it
absolutely.
somehow.
And,
Yeah.
That way, I can help point some of those people in the right.
And one of the things that I love about you as well is not only that you are coaching, officers and stuff like that, but you also gave them a really, really good discount to a membership to our gym.
50% off. Yeah.
50% off. So any officers out there, if you need a facility to train,
We got the facility.
we got the facility, I promise you.
sir.
And I think the most important about coaching an officer is that willing to change their life so they can help their community.
Yeah.
I tell them that all the time.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just here to help you get conditioned to do your job effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of idiots out there that I was one of them, right? Like, there's just, and I know their job is hard. I know they really don't get
it's
paid
scary.
what they should get paid for it, right? So the least I can do is like help them be more effective because they're healthy and they're physically fit, you know what I mean? And they can actually, you know, when they get out of the car, they can de-escalate a situation just with their appearance.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so whatever I can do, you know.
What is your coaching philosophy? I mean, in terms of training,
Oh, in terms of
like
training.
actual training, because our philosophy is, we like, obviously, you know, progressive overload has always been our main thing, but we like to go to failure.
Absolutely. Yes.
Almost, honestly, every third, fourth sets, we usually go to failure and usually do a back off sets because that's where you really tear up the muscle. The first 2 sets that you do,
You're not doing
I'm gonna
anything.
be honest with you.
You're just filling it up with blood.
No,
You're filling it up with blood.
I mean, you're burning metabolites, but not how you should be. So getting to that failure set and showing yourself like, I'm going to mechanical failure. My body will not move.
So my philosophy is this: I was like, on almost every movement we do, the last set is like a drop set, or like even on chest. Like if I feel there's more left in the tank, I'll make them drop and do push-ups. Like empty the tank. You know what I mean? Like you got more in the tank and I can see it. Get rid of it. You know what I mean? Like. And that's how come I think I get a lot of good results with my guys, because I know they're pushing a lot more than they would have at the gym because I'm not letting them stop. I'm like, no, I can see more. Nope, come on. Nope. They have a mental block sometimes. Like
you can be tired afterward.
I can only do 10 reps at 315, and they're hitting 1, 2, all the way up to 9. They're powerhouse, and they hit 10. 10. Like, that's a mental block, bro. You know what I mean? You could hit 3 more. But you don't think you can. Right? Let me show you can.
Sometimes I'll let them do rest pause. Pause, 10-second count, and he never lets me pause. Like even if I pause, he'll drop the weight. I'm like, go again, yo. I'm like, I'm like,
well, he'll say, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do, I'll do the 110-pound dumbbells. I'm gonna go to 6, and he's at 4. I'm like, okay, 2 more. He hits 5. I'm like, 2 more. He hits 6. I'm like, no, you're not done. Keep going. Because the second we say, oh, I can only do this X amount of time, the second we get to that number, you set a mental block and you stop.
You automatically, like your body wants to just fail. Like, so
failure isn't 10 reps.
So what is
me? My philosophy is pushing past failure, and then proper form, right? And I talk a lot about contractions.
Yes,
because a lot of people come in, and especially when they're new, and if they just go to some gym, all right, and they're like, okay, so to do my chest, I just have to move that bar from here to here, right? So they just go over there and start moving weight. And I teach my clients, we don't come in here and just move weight around, right? We come in here and we contract whatever muscle group we're training. The contraction itself, that's what moves the weight. Don't worry about that part. You just worry about flexing, contracting that muscle. When you contract the chest, look what happens. It moves the weight, right? So if we focus on the contraction first and not just moving weight around, because I could go in there and just move the weight like this, I'm going to get more front delts than I am going to get my chest, right? But I'm moving the weight the same way that guy was. No, I wasn't. That guy was contracting his muscles.
You're not actually activating.
Well, there's no intention. They're just going there and just up and down. It's like you need an intention behind what you're doing. If there's no intention, what are you doing?
I like that language. That's good.
We've been doing videos before, and I remember like new clients, right? Especially guys, they're like, I can like do this, and Yo's like, okay, and then they'll pick it up, and then he'll be like, all right, like move your elbows just like that, whatever, like shoulder press, and then all of a sudden they got half the weight because they can't do it
because they're doing the right form. Now you're isolating the muscle. Now you don't get help from 3 other muscle groups to push the weight. Right?
I've had clients tell me that when they see us grabbing like the 5-pound dumbbells, they're like, fuck, what are we doing? And they're more afraid of those than they are the heavier weight.
They know you're
it's because we have an intention behind them. We're showing them exactly how to be lifting that muscle.
So another philosophy that we do, besides going to failure, because I believe, and the reason why I love going to failure, because we're not overloading our body with so much fucking weight. You know what I mean? I'm not talking we're pushing over 300 pounds on a bench press. No. We're pushing, 200.
Moderate weight.
Moderate weight. But
when we do failure lateral raises with like 10-pound dumbbells afterward, like I want to bash my head into the wall.
But the biggest thing for us is the tempo. we do a lot of
Slow it down.
tempos, 3 to 5 seconds, eccentric
It's
movement.
that eccentric movement that people forget. They
Yes.
move the weight up, they let it drop.
Yes.
You're missing half the workout,
Yep.
bud.
You have
You
to
have to
control
recruit
it.
muscle fibers in order to slow it down, which means you're doing what?
Yeah.
You're building more muscle. You're stimulating growth. You're all that.
Yep.
But if you're just dropping it,
Yeah.
and then you're just doing damage to
Yeah.
your joints.
100%.
Because at the bottom, you're stopping it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's a joint issue right there, and then bringing it back up, right?
Here's a good question. What is a top 3 to 5 exercises for someone that has never lifted before, don't have barely any muscle, that wants to start gaining muscle? What is the top 3 to 5 exercises? Obviously, nutrition is the most important part. We already know
In
that.
my opinion,
Yeah, that you recommend.
exercises, I would have to say either a lunge or a squat from one, right?
Okay.
I would have to say some pull downs.
Yep.
I would say pull ups if they can do their body weight, right? Because that helps activate a lot of core as well. But and then I would say I really like machines nowadays, but I probably would have said an incline dumbbell chest press before now. Now, kind of like the seated cable one that we have over there. I just feel like I can isolate that muscle and like control it with just that muscle so much better. And that's another thing for people out there. Like if you feel like another machine works better for the contraction, like use that machine. If the other one doesn't, like it's a biomechanic thing probably, right? Like the machine isn't giving you the right movement to get the contraction. So when you do find a machine that you can feel that on, like utilize it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I get done with that machine, my chest is full, hard. I could start with something else and it doesn't get that, right? So utilize the ones that your body likes, right?
And then the next step's to hire a coach. I think that's the most important part.
Yeah.
The most important part, and it's probably underrated things to talk about because people think they can do things on their own. I'm here. I'm the first one to tell you we all have coaches, and we are coaches.
Yep.
We all got coaches.
Can you do things on your own? Yeah.
Yeah, you can, but are you going to get the full potential?
Effectively,
Can I go eat donuts by myself?
Yeah.
But the same thing, but I see that when people go to the gym is they say, oh, I need to shock my body. I've been doing the same routine for, 3 months. So now I'm going to do this other one. It's like, well, if that's the approach you're taking, that tells me you haven't mastered those movements. Because if you have, then you could be doing more weight and you can actually be doing it the right way. But people, they say my body's plateaued.
Yeah.
I've been doing the same back movements. Now I'm going to switch it up. It's like, well, if you want to switch it up because you're targeting a different part of the back, maybe do that. But just completely changing your routine and then starting at minimal weight and working your way up tells me you haven't mastered the movement. You probably aren't doing it right. And you just, again, there's no intention behind what you're doing at the gym.
Fundamentals of the routine, like a back routine, like a pull down is not like going to stop working one day because you've already got the lats.
Well, I
Now you
maxed
gotta
out the
do
machine, so I guess
well,
I can't do it anymore.
My lats are there. Now I got to, you could still grow with it.
Exactly.
The first time when I started lifting by myself without a coach, I was doing different things every week.
Yep.
I think that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that I made going into health and fitness journey at the beginning of my journey before I hired a coach, until I found someone. No, you don't really have to change your workout at all, if any. Just continuing to better your form and the intensity and start increasing the weight. Yep. Sure, sometimes you have to shock the body, right? You got to deload a little bit, and then you go
But
back
it's still
up.
the same movement. It's just we're adjusting how we're,
so is
how we're
that-
performing it.
Do you see a lot of people do that? They tend to switch, because I did it before, and I know for a fact that I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah,
They
that's
overcomplicate it. And I tell people, it sounds ridiculous, but stick to the basics. There's a reason why the basics work. And if you look at all of the old school bodybuilders, Arnold included, Charles Glass, these guys, they didn't do anything crazy. They just, they did heavy ass squats. They do heavy ass deadlifts.
I don't think
bench.
people realize that. You know why CBum and all these new athletes look better than Arnold and all them? It's because now there's science behind all the drugs.
Yeah.
They know the science behind what drugs to use for what things, and like
actually count macros.
count macros
Yep.
and all that, so they can look. It's not that they're doing any other different movements.
No, the movements are the
If
same. It's
anything,
just
some of the
science
movements
is
they're
better.
doing now are not even as effective as the original movements, right? They're making changes to them because they want to make it, oh yeah, I just invented this, or come up with some unique thing. You're like,
And then they call it their name.
right?
Yeah, I see that.
Yep.
I'm like, come on, bro.
Like, you didn't patent this freaking movement.
No,
That's not how this works.
Yeah, the fundamentals of of lifting will always work. You know what I mean? They will always work. So
Yep.
Man, thank you for being on our amazing podcast.
We've been trying to get you on here for a while.
We've wanted you on this for a while.
I
But
know.
we made it work because I know you work. I know you had clients on Saturdays,
Yeah.
and we want to appreciate the fact that you take about an hour and a half to be here and share your stories. I know things can get a little emotional. Most of the time, our podcasts are that because we want you to share your journey, because so then just so many people can relate to this and understand it. Oh my God, like if you could do it at 51, I could do it at 31.
Oh, yeah.
Like, come on.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I really, really do appreciate
I
it.
hear guys like you. If I can look like you by the time I'm 51, I'm like, bro, you're gonna look better than me. I don't know what you're talking about. You look as good as I do now, honestly. But like by the time you put another few years in, you already look way better than me.
Yeah.
So,
and that's all it is too. Like I think people need to understand, anyone that just starting out from lifting, right? It's one thing that you have to understand. In order for you to look like us or you, it just takes time. You cannot get there in 1 year. You can't even get there in less than 3 years. I've been doing this for 6 now, and I'm still not there.
I
You know?
had a lot of free time too when I was locked up. All I did was eat, sleep, and work out. And I mean, for years. So like I have put a lot of time and effort into it.
Yeah.
And that's where.
But again, it took you years
of consistent training, like all the time, like whether I wanted to do it or not.
Not few months on, few months off, and you know this and that.
I probably got a good. I mean, I'm 51.
Yeah.
I probably got at least a good 25 solid years in the gym. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like of being consistent.
And
Just because that's what I liked to do back then, and then it turned into this, right? But like. I did not want to be in the gym, right? Back in the day, you couldn't get me to leave. I'm like, we're done? Well, let's do one more set. You know, like that was my sanctuary, right? And now it's my house.
And I think the biggest mistakes that a lot of people make now because of social media, it's so big now. It's instant gratification. They want to get there by less than 6 months. They come to you or us, hey man, can you help me lose 50 pounds? I'm like, why?
Yeah. Like, I can. It's going to take a while. But like, well, no, but I'm going on a cruise like in a month.
I have a cruise in
it's
3
like,
months. And I'm like,
you
bro, you
know
know how
it's not
long
how it
it take you to
works.
gain that 50 pounds?
And then they'll make sacrifices. They want to try any drugs. You can get all the magic thing. You're like, no, bro, that's not how it works. I'm sorry.
Well, we'll get people come to us and like, hey, I want to do a bodybuilding show. Like, okay, cool. Like, this is our process. And like, well, 18 months to 2 years. Like, no, bro, like, I want to do the one in June. It's like, bro, it's April. You're not doing that.
Do you want to win?
Yeah. It's like, well, because you
wanna
represent
do well in the show?
us. Yeah. So I'm not going to put you on stage just because I took food away and literally starved you and you're skinny.
And that's where I'm at. Like, I won't let them get on stage if they don't look like they put in the work and they're not going to do well. Like,
Well, it's doing them a disservice because they're up there thinking that they look good, and maybe they really think that. And you might get the one person who has the genetics, and you're like, oh shit, okay, yeah, like this worked. But I'm not going to put someone up there just because they want to do it. It's a bucket list thing for 2 months. Like, no, if you want to do it, you've got to really learn. I don't think they understand how shitty prep can be.
there's coaches out there for those people too.
Yeah,
It's true.
We can send you straight over to them.
My
You used to work with him.
yeah. My friend, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank
like
you,
I said, I really love that
We love you, Eddie.
you get to share your stories, and we love your journey. And on to the next. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for sharing our YouTube videos, our Spotify. We're gonna have
Reels, all that.
all of our stuff. So thank you so much for sharing that. It's been a year now, so it's 1 year
crazy.
official with Unfinished Lifestyle Podcast, and we're excited to celebrate with none other than Fast Eddie.
Man who made it happen.
All right, guys, thank you so much. On to the next.